After my wife died, her sons inherited a penthouse, a $17 million company, a yacht, and nearly everything we had built together. I received a crumpled envelope. When I opened it and found a one-way plane ticket to Switzerland, the entire room laughed. What none of them knew was that the ticket was not sending me away. It was leading me to the truth. My name is Stanley Morrison. I was 64 years old, and I had been married to Kristen for 30 years. She had been gone for exactly 17 days when her attorney gathered us inside a mahogany conference room in Manhattan. Marcus, her 38-year-old son, sat to my left, checking his Rolex. Thomas, 35, leaned back with the smirk he had worn around me for years. Marcus's wife, Diana, tapped her polished nails against a designer handbag. They had already started discussing the estate before Kristen was buried. The attorney began reading. Marcus received the Fifth Avenue penthouse and the Cape Cod beach house. Thomas received Morrison Industries, valued at approximately $17 million. The yacht went to them as well, along with the artwork, jewelry, and furnishings. I sat silently while pieces of my marriage were distributed to people who had barely tolerated me. Then the attorney looked at me. To Stanley Morrison, my husband of 30 years. She slid the crumpled envelope across the table. Marcus laughed first. That's it? Thomas leaned forward. Open it. Let's see what Mom thought you were worth. Inside was one ticket departing for Zurich at 9:45 the next morning. Diana smiled. She wanted you out of the country. Their laughter followed me into the hallway. That night, I stayed in a hotel 6 blocks from the home Kristen and I had shared for 3 decades. I had $83 in my wallet and $942 in our remaining checking account. Sleep never came. I kept remembering Kristen's final words in the hospital. Promise me you'll remember that I loved you, no matter what anyone says. At the time, I thought the medication had made her emotional. Now I wondered if she had been warning me. I boarded the flight because I had nowhere else to go. 8 hours later, I walked into Zurich airport carrying one small bag. Near the information desk, a man in a dark suit held a sign with my name. I'm Klaus Weber, he said. Mrs. Morrison arranged everything. During the drive toward Geneva, I asked why Kristen had sent me there. Klaus watched me through the rearview mirror. She protected you. Those 3 words changed the meaning of everything. In Geneva, Klaus took me to the office of Friedrich Zimmermann, Kristen's Swiss attorney. He was a white-haired man in his 70s whose office overlooked Lake Geneva. He opened a thick file. Your wife first came to me 22 years ago, he said. She wanted to protect the man she loved. Then he placed a document in front of me. Kristen had quietly transferred money into Swiss trusts and investments for more than 2 decades. What began as approximately $2 million had grown to $43 million. Every dollar belonged to me. I could barely speak. Why would she humiliate me? Because her sons would have contested any American will that left you significant assets, Zimmermann explained. She allowed them to believe they had won so they would not interfere with your departure. He handed me a letter in Kristen's handwriting. She wrote that Marcus and Thomas had spent years becoming greedy and entitled. She knew they would attack me if they discovered the true size of her estate. The assets they inherited were real, but so were the obligations. Morrison Industries carried $16.7 million in debt. The penthouse had a $2.1 million mortgage. The yacht had liens totaling $800,000. Her sons had inherited the appearance of wealth. She had left me freedom. I thought that was the entire plan. It wasn't. The next morning, Zimmermann showed me photographs taken by a private investigator Kristen had hired 3 months before her death. Marcus and Thomas had met with attorneys, accountants, and even Kristen's doctor. They planned to have me declared mentally incompetent after the funeral. Marcus would become my conservator. My finances would be placed under his control, and I would be sent to an expensive care facility they had already selected. They had not laughed at the will reading merely because they disliked me. They believed they had already defeated me. The plane ticket had removed me from their reach before they could file the papers. For 6 weeks, I stayed near Lake Geneva and learned how to manage the life Kristen had protected. Then Diana called. Her voice was no longer sharp. It was desperate. The company is drowning in debt, she said. We need you to come home. Marcus took the phone. You knew about this. Get back here and fix it. 6 weeks earlier, he had called me a gold digger. Now he called me family. I refused. 2 days later, they arrived in Geneva. They entered Zimmermann's office looking exhausted. Marcus's expensive suit was wrinkled. Thomas was pale. Diana held her handbag with both hands as if it were the only solid object left in her life. They demanded answers. Zimmermann gave them facts. Their American inheritance belonged to them, along with every debt attached to it. Then he revealed that Kristen's separate Swiss estate was worth $43 million, and that I was its sole beneficiary. Diana's handbag fell to the floor. Thomas stared at me. That money could save us. Why would I save you? Because we're family, Marcus said. I looked at him calmly. Were we family when you planned to have me declared incompetent and locked inside a care facility? The color vanished from his face. They denied it until Zimmerman placed the photographs, drafted petitions, and investigators' reports on the desk. Thomas finally whispered, "She set us up." "No," I said. "She gave you exactly what you demanded, her company, her property, and every responsibility that came with them." Marcus threatened to contest the Swiss trust. Zimmerman explained that Kristen had spent 22 years making it legally untouchable. Their anger slowly turned into pleading. They promised to change. They offered apologies that sounded more like negotiations. I had waited 30 years to be accepted by them. Now I understood I had never needed their approval. "You had 3 decades to treat me like family," I said. "You chose not to. I am not buying that relationship now." They returned to New York that night. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I thought about Kristen. She had protected me, but Marcus and Thomas were still her sons. She had loved them even while recognizing what they had become. So I made a decision. Through Zimmerman, I arranged for every legitimate company loan and property debt to be paid anonymously. The total was just over $16 million. But there were conditions. Marcus and Thomas had to keep Morrison Industries operating for 2 years. They had to retain its employees, complete financial training, and submit to independent audits. If they sold the company or stripped its assets, the assistance would end. I was not rewarding them. I was forcing them to carry the responsibility they had inherited. 6 months later, Thomas called. He told me an anonymous benefactor had saved the company. "We worked 18-hour days," he said. "I finally understand what Mum built." Then he offered to share their inheritance with me. For the first time, one of Kristen's sons was offering something without being forced. I declined. "I'm proud that you offered," I said. 2 years later, Marcus invited me to his wedding. His marriage to Diana had ended after the truth about their conservatorship plan became known. His new fiancée was a kindergarten teacher he had met while volunteering at a children's hospital. Inside the invitation was a handwritten note. "You loved Mom better than anyone. Would you walk with me?" I agreed. At the reception, Thomas raised his glass. He admitted that he and Marcus had once believed family was about blood, inheritance, and ownership. Then he looked directly at me. "Stanley taught us that being a father is about showing up, even when the people you love do not deserve your patience." Later, Marcus found me alone in the garden. "The anonymous benefactor was you, wasn't it?" I did not answer. Some gifts are stronger when they remain unnamed. I live in Connecticut now, in a small house with a garden. I travel when I choose, support a foundation for vulnerable seniors, and visit Kristen's grave every month. Marcus and Thomas call regularly. Not because they need money, but because they finally learned how to build a relationship instead of inheriting one. That one-way ticket did not remove me from the family. It removed me from their control. Kristen's final gift was not $43 million. It was the truth that love does not always look gentle while it is protecting you. Sometimes the envelope everyone laughs at contains the only inheritance that can truly change your life: freedom. Have you ever discovered that something which looked like rejection was actually protection? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories of betrayal, justice, and unexpected second chances.